more importantly, I want to address something you talked about in videos, how people think they're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've lived with that for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have.
It's good.
Sit
with it. This is good.
Even till today, sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not gonna amount to where I want to be. People believe in me a lot. Why am I crying?
This is good. Remember, this is what we were talking about earlier.
My last guest,
hey,
she was the one crying, and now.
But look, you're in a safe space.
Yeah, and it's. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been the little one, and always been told what to do, and always been scolded. So I always felt like whatever I was doing was not good enough. How did you find out? How did you get through that?
Well, when I was 5 years old, this is where I made one of my biggest decisions. So when I was on my way to my very first ballet class, I made the decision that pretty much altered the course of my life for over 30 years. And as I was on my way to that ballet class, I was so excited because it was just a big thing for my parents to invest in anything for us, because we didn't have a lot. I mean, I never felt like we were missing anything, but when it came to finances, it was a struggle. So this was so exciting for me, and as I was putting on my little tutu tights and everything, and I'm running to go to class, I stopped, like dead stop, started screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm like, Mommy, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Because when I saw all those beautiful girls in class, and they're all beautiful, perfect, elegant, slick back hair, and here's me, frumpy, big hair everywhere, and I thought to myself, I'm not like them. I will never be good enough. And the thing is, of course, I was 5 years old. How did I know? But when you make a strong decision like that, especially when attached to a strong emotion, as we talked before, it links, like it gets embedded deeply within you. And a lot of the things that we have within our belief system is between 0 and 7, which that's a whole other conversation, but that's the imprinting phase. That's when we're most malleable. And things, it's almost like we're this piece of dough, okay? And then the little cookie cutters?
Yeah.
So there's these experiences that happen, and then you get imprinted, and then you get shaped in this whatever shape that is, because at first you were just this dough, but now you get imprinted with these decisions, these beliefs, these things.
Yeah.
So when it comes to not being good enough, obviously I went through my own journey of deep reflection, deep forgiveness, like all different things. Like everyone's process is different, but it begins with the courage to look within. Knowing that, forgive me, I'm going to go a little bit spiritual here, that you are perfect as you are. You were born perfect, and you are perfect. Yeah, there's certain things within the human experience that, that's part of our path to learn from. And when it comes to knowing that you're good enough, you were created perfect. The lessons that you learn throughout life, you're meant to go through those so that you inspire others. Look at all the people that you inspire in your training because of the journey. Had you not gone through some of those things, those painful things of how you felt within the family, part of that probably was putting on the weight. A lot of times we have people, and not always, but a lot of times weight keeps you hidden. And it's a safe place to hide. Fat is a safe place to hide behind. So when you start to take better care of yourself and you start to be more exposed, obviously you feel better, but there's something within your mind that it just shifts, because now you're treating food a little bit differently. You are using your body differently. And just in that whole process, you are, you're transforming, you're taking, it's almost like I'm all about transformation, but you take something and you reconstruct it in a way to make it beautiful. But that pain is what pushed you.
Yeah.
We are motivated only by two things. We're simple creatures by pain or pleasure. Pain will motivate anyone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing, I mean, pain, it can get people, if you get a diagnosis that you're gonna die and you've gotta lose weight, most people will be inspired to do that. But then after the weight is gone and the threat is gone, most people will gain the weight back. It's taking that pain to pleasure. You know, you at some point, especially with living a healthy lifestyle, it's constant evolving of the human spirit, but when you set a goal and you reach it and the pain pushed you, then you're like, okay, now I have to switch it to pleasure to keep it sustainable. Otherwise, the only thing that's going to motivate you is the pain again. So when it comes to the whole good enough, there's always going to be moments of, wow, I doubt myself. But that's part of it. How do I explain? It's like what you have to give and what you have to offer and the value that you provide to people in this world is so valuable that you already are good enough. It takes time, but it could be, sometimes we have to be our own hero. And, I still struggle with that. I mean, it's why it's taken me so long. Because as you mentioned before of how I look, but people don't realize how deep of a soul I have. It's funny, one of my clients said to me once that, she goes, it's really weird. I don't know if anyone watches Disney, I'm a Disney freak. Pocahontas. So she goes, you're like Grandmother Willow, but you're like Pocahontas too. It's really weird. Because it's like, I look this young, but it's just this deep wisdom. Yeah. But it's because I faced my darkness. I've done these different things where it's like you face it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to getting to the true essence of your gold, one of the stories I like to tell is a story of the Golden Buddha. So over 300 years ago, there was these monks, and they had this beautiful Buddha statue. It was 10 foot tall, made of solid gold. It was huge. I think it was more than, it was just huge. I can't remember. It was just really massive. And at that time there were invaders, and they wanted to protect this shrine, so they covered it in clay. And the invaders came through the monastery. They sadly killed the monks, but they didn't see the shrine because it was covered in clay. And then many, many centuries later, there was monks praying at the clay Buddha, and they decided to move it. So they had this big crane, and they were moving it, and it started to crack. And they're like, oh, no, wait, put it down, because it didn't matter if it was clay or whatever. This statue meant a lot to them. Let's just wait until the morning. So it started raining that night, and one of the lead monks had a flashlight, and he went out just to check on the clay statue, and he shone the light, and he sees something shining through it. He goes, what is that? And then he starts hammering away, and then hours later, he unveils this amazing golden statue.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. It's a great parallel to our human spirit, because at the core, we're gold. And a lot of times experiences have this, it can create this casing. It could be family issues, it could be death of a loved one, divorce, so many different things where we get casing after casing, where we're heavy, we don't see that light inside.
Yeah.
But then there's something that comes along, like with you, there could have been that pain point where it was just, man, I gotta do something about my health. Like, it's time. There was maybe a pain point that instigated you. I think I watched your thing, something about your mom saying you were fat.
Yeah.
And that hit something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever that was, and it was just, whoa. And then wait a minute, a little bit of that casing broke off. And as you're moving on that journey a little bit more, and then wait a minute, you see a little bit of gold. A little bit of that gold. And then it's a lifelong journey where each layer of yourself that you uncover, it's more to the gold. And it's a process. There's all different things that you can do to improve that relationship, but also recognize that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know unless there's a rare person out there that doesn't suffer from that from one moment or another. So
yeah.
Collectively, We all have that at some point. And it takes that courage to look inside, but not only that, but to own your greatness. Because that's how leaders are born. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, leaders are terrified half the time,
Oh yeah.
but what makes them powerful to follow? They own it. They know it's not about them.
Mm.
It's about who they're supposed to lead.